Today we talk about my favorite topic in astrology, which is about past lives and present lives and what you have to develop in this life. Or if you do not believe in past lives, then you can take it what you come with naturally talented with in this life, what you're born naturally talented, or what you develop naturally in your early age, probably in the first 20 to 30 years in your life, versus what you have to develop later in life. And this is indicated, this most important indication in your horoscope. There is nothing more important in your horoscope than the position of Ketu and Rahu, or as they're known in Western astrology, South Node and North Node of the Moon. They're the reason the person incarnates back in the Earth, comes back to Earth to learn the lesson of these planets, or these points as we call them in astrology. So if you learn what you have to focus on this life, you will have it so much more clearer picture about your path in life and about what's good for you and what you have to let go of. And usually Ketu, or the South Node, will indicate what we were really good in past life with, what we focus in past life, where we feel confident. So usually these, the place where Ketu is placed in our horoscope will show us where we have more natural talent or skill, or where we feel more confident in or we're just better in the first part of life. And Rahu will show us what we have to develop in this life, what we haven't focused in past lives, if you don't believe in past lives, in the early part of your life, and what you will develop later on in life, usually in the second part of life after 35, 40 onwards. So you have a bit of difficulties where Rahu is, in the areas of life where Rahu indicates, because Ketu, you also have some boredom in the house of where Ketu indicates, because it's something you've already learned how to use, learn how to be good at, so they're not easy positions, but they're very interesting because it will give you such depth of understanding about yourself. And what I want you to go is, I want you to go to my website astrology.com, go to my birth chart calculator, and I want you to, if you know your time of birth, enter it correctly, then you'll be able to see the house positions of Ketu and Rahu, or the South Node and the North Node. And if you don't know your time of birth, then just look at the sign position of Rahu and Ketu. The sign position will be given underneath on the table, where it will say Ketu is in Aries, or Ketu is in Libra, Rahu is always the opposite sign. They're always, the South Node is always opposite the North Node. Because if you have developed something in the past life, the opposite you haven't much developed, And when you get that chart, or if you're using Western chart to get this, but if you're using mine, this is what you're gonna get. For instance, you might get Ketu here, and Rahu will be here in the 10th, 4th sign, 10th sign. But I want you to take a look this time of the house position. You can have the houses are indicated with Roman numericals. So you can have it house 3 and house 4 in the 4th sign together. So basically Ketu will, if the sign is indicated by one of the squares, each square is one sign. And what the sign is, you can see from the table underneath. So you can see which sign Ketu is in, which sign Rahu is in, and you will see that there is also Roman numericals. There is the house cusps that are inside. It's a bit difficult, but I just want you to pay attention to these Roman numericals. So if you have Ketu with the 3rd and 4th house cups, you'll have Rahu with the 9th and 10th house cusp in the opposite. So I would want you to listen the video for which says North Node in 10th house, or North Node in 9th house. Both of these videos, because I'll be indicating them by the position of the North Node, always Rahu in 10th house or Rahu in 9th house. And you will learn what your karmic duties are in this life, what you have to focus on in this life, what you have to learn to let go of, which is Ketu usually. It's really amazing. It's the best part of astrology. Now we come to the next position. If you have Rahu in the 5th house, indicated with the Roman numerical 5th like that, and Ketu will be then in the 11th house, or it's similar to having Rahu in Leo or Ketu in Aquarius. Because Leo corresponds to Leo is the 5th sign, so it corresponds to the 5th house, and Aquarius is the 11th sign, so it corresponds to to the 11th house. So what does it mean? Well, Ketu, we always start with Ketu because it shows past life, and it shows what you were in past life and what you learned in past life, and what skills you developed if you don't believe in past life, in your early part of your life, usually up to your 30s probably, and or mid-20s, then you start slowly giving more path into Rahu, And Ketu, or the South Node as we call it, in the 11th house or in the sign of Aquarius, which I have, and people from my generation, they have it in the sign of Aquarius. So you see it's a bit more general, but it's deeply ingrained personality trait. Is the 11th house is the house of social groups, friendships, usually more like peers, being accepted by society, validation from society. So it's kind of a painful position. Always Ketu and Rahu, the nodes show painful houses in the horoscope. But it shows that in a past life, people with Ketu in Aquarius, they became parts of a group very, very successfully. They kind of managed to, they were always part of the group. They were, this is the group, the 11th house is the group, Aquarius is the group like the proletariat and the peers, and Leo is the king, Leo is the crown. And this is the proletariat, the masses, the society, And in the 5th house, in as houses, 5th house is the king, like Leo. So basically, past life, these people, or early life, they try to identify more with the masses. They fit it more, and they kind of fit in every kind of group. They're very comfortable in friendship situation, and I've noticed this from people with Ketu in Aquarius from my age group. And basically others will radiate around them. If you have Ketu in the 11th, they kind of feel that you're talented at making groups fit together, and they'll become a focal person of a group of friends, and there'll be someone that others get to meet each other through, and the others will other people like such people, they try and hang around them. They kind of, because these people just fit so easily, they have no pretense for their own individuality. They kind of become an integral cog. This is the big machine, and everyone in the big machine in society is like is a cog in the machine. And people with Ketu in Aquarius or in the 11th house, they know, you shouldn't be better than another, or you shouldn't be more special than another. Everyone has a different part and does it there. But what happens with these people is that they allow the group consciousness, the peers, to dictate their individuality, their special self. 5th house is the celebrity, the king, someone very special, invisible, that is different than others. Not so much different, stands out from the other. Either is better or is famous in some way, is the celebrity, the king, And in this life, they have to learn to find out their individuality. This is the 5th house. That's why it's the house of celebrities, it's the house of politicians, it's the house of kings, And I'm not talking government people, but I'm talking people like who are out there in the spotlight and everyone sees them, and who are very confident of themselves. And people with Ketu in the 11th house, they haven't developed this self-esteem, this self-confidence. They have to learn actually. They shouldn't allow them belonging to groups or friends of groups to dictate who they are as people. For instance, you might be a very spiritual person, and you might be very holistic centered, but because you hang out with people who are into smoking and drinking, you might very easily slip into those things. We can be spiritual and your friends might be gold diggers, and you might try doing the same because they take over the social entity. Energy takes over of your own individual energy, which will only develop, and especially in early life, in the first 20, 30 years, definitely I've seen it with me, or people who have a Ketu in Aquarius or in the 11th house. This is very typical. They fit great in friendships and social circumstances. People love being around, but only because they don't, they kind of lose their individuality there, and they kind of, they have to, and at one moment these people start being resentful. At one moment they wake up and they say, wait, this is not me. These people around me, I don't identify with them, I feel a bit detached from them, or these groups, why do I keep going to these lectures only because I know everyone there? Why do I keep going to this motorcycle society, when actually I don't enjoy even motorcycling because all my friends go there, and they wake up and they might go into a breakdown stage, you know, where they just retreat themselves and they don't want to see anyone, and often they would feel that these people, their friends, don't validate them for who they are. As I said, you might be into completely different things, and you don't feel validation from your friends that they recognize you as the unique individual that you are. You know, so these people might become resentful and hurt and withdraw from society, you know. Often that's the breakdown stage. As my teacher says, if you want to have more complex videos, more in-depth, you can go to his website, which I put on top. And they have to learn, in order to overcome this, they have to learn to develop their Rahu fifth house, uniqueness, individuality, self-esteem, not allowing others to tell them what to do, not allowing others to tell them, okay, let's go out now, and you're going every time because you're part of the group and you don't want to disturb the status quo of the group. No, if you don't like going to see Batman, don't go. Go and see Titanic if you prefer that, you know. You don't have to conform, so to speak. It doesn't mean tell to your friends to F off, you know. But once you discover who you are as an individual and start doing these unique things which are typical to you, then you will fit much better in your friendships. Then you will heal this problem of this wound, which often people might feel of not feeling validated in the social group or understood for who they are, even though they fit so nicely and no one actually notices that. Only them themselves, they don't feel accepted fully, you know. And so develop your individuality. And how does often this happen? Developing your individuality, you can do it through focusing on your hobbies. That's why fifth house and Leo rules hobbies. So focus on these things, focus on the thing that make you feel more alive, more inspired. Fifth house is inspiration, so be more playful, more joyful. Try and become center of attention more often. These people, they need to become the celebrity, they need to, and often this will be given to them. Yay! So often they can actually become a sort of celebrity, but later on in life, not first. You know, first they're much more identified into the crowd. And once they start developing this Rahu in the second part of their life, in 30s, 40s, they develop their individuality and they're able to heal their friendships, and instead of either renouncing and cutting off their friends when they feel they don't longer fit, they just come back as an individual and they start playing a role, a more leadership role in this in his friendship, or not leadership, but more authentic role, so to speak. So, as I said, people with Rahu in the fifth house focus on having more things that validate you as who you are. Usually, these are the hobbies that you enjoy. Usually, these are the often after romances this can happen, you know, and often after a person has children, which is the fifth house again. Something creativity, a person with this position finds their individuality better, and their self-esteem comes, you know. Fifth house is self-esteem, and it will improve after having children or after starting some creative project. So focus on creative project, nurture the creativity in your life. Also, because Rahu has delaying influence, usually children might be delayed a little bit, you know, when you see it in the fifth house only, not in Leo. Just look at the houses, because houses are specific areas of life. So children might be a bit delayed, you know, but I don't want to scare anyone. And so, yeah, so that's what we said. Individuality versus others and social acceptance. Focus on your own special talents and abilities. Be a star, shine in this life.